Hello. Are you tired of arguing in your relationship? This video is definitely for you. There are several reasons why couples argue, and obviously, it can be quite daunting and tiring in terms of having to go through the same thing over and over and over again, or having to discuss something that you've discussed several times, and obviously there were not changes, and that's why people end up some divorce cases end up being like irreconcilable differences. And there are some things obviously that could be the issue. One of the key problem, most fights sometimes they are not about who will wash dishes, or maybe they're not about who is going to do the laundry. A lot of fights, in relationships, obviously, comes from, the feeling of, having that feeling of being unheard, that feeling of being disrespected, the feeling of being dismissed. So this obviously is something that is quite common. Obviously, like if your partner has been complaining about something for so long in time, and obviously if they don't see any changes, then that could be a massive problem, and it will definitely get tiring to a point whereby everyone just wants to go their separate ways. But is that actually the solution? Yes, one of the solution. Obviously, I've noted some things down here as well, which could actually help couples or in your relationship. Obviously, is to kind of validate the feeling first. Whatever your partner is feeling, validate it. Discuss about it, which is really important. You know, what do you need to do straight away to actually make things right? Start taking action. Do you not? One of the worst thing you can do is to procrastinate your action. A lot of people wants to see you taking action immediately, so they don't want you to kind of postpone it and say, okay, I'm gonna take action at some point, because at the end of the day it doesn't really work that way. And if you leave it for too long, it's going to create a massive vacuum in your relationship. So the best thing, obviously, you know, validate the feeling, what they are feeling, what your partner is feeling, validate it. And obviously, what can you do to make things right? What can you do immediately to, like to make them feel better? And obviously, another thing, obviously, is to kind of think of encouraging your partner to do the same as well. Obviously, sometimes it goes two ways. It goes side, both ways. Do not bottle in what you are feeling yourself. If your partner is complaining about something and it's not a time for you to retaliate, or because they bring up an issue, you want to bring up something as well as a sort of retaliation. So the best thing is to kind of obviously digest what they say and have a deep conversation further as well. Of course, do not make it seem like, oh, it's tit for tat. It doesn't work that way, and it will definitely escalate things as well further. Obviously, you kind of need to understand how to move forward from there. From you identifying the real issue, and obviously, the main issue, which is maybe the feeling of having that feeling of being not of you not listening to your partner, or or maybe the feeling of unheard, dismissed, and all of that. You have to kind of discuss the way forward. Okay, so how do we progress from here? Obviously, you can just take things up, from there as well. The other thing, obviously, that I just noted down here as well is to kind of replace attacks with curiosity. It's not about, yes, you are doing something. Avoid blaming. The problem is when couples are in relationships, people tends to use harsh words, which doesn't help any issue at all. It actually escalate things and make things worse. So it is very important to avoid blaming one another. And I think this happens a lot. It's like, oh, you always say this, you always come up with this, you always want to help me, you always want to do this and all of that, or maybe you never care about me, you never listen to me. It's don't be defensive. Just give them that listening ears, and then don't don't listen. to attack, because obviously it will aggravate things and it will make things a lot more much worse as well. So, if you genuinely love your partner, definitely you have to listen to them. You have to kind of, find a way to, make amends. And obviously, even it might just what they're asking you for might sound like maybe they are being selfish, but in some cases, like you have, and that's where the discussion comes in. If you feel like they are being selfish in terms of what they're asking you to do, you can still discuss it further as well. You can still break it down, arrive at a point, of equilibrium, and everyone is happy going forward. Now, I think there are some words that you just have to be careful of when it comes to replacing that. You replace attacks with curiosity. So instead of you to say you don't listen, you can say, I feel ignored when I talk and there is no response or there is no action taken. Uh, Practice curious listening. So can you help me understand what upset you? So that could, that kind of, response could actually turn anger away before you know it. So again, knowing what, how to respond is really, really important, because when you think about it, if you don't respond in a very good way or in a way that could aggravate things, then things will actually turn upside down. A lot of issues of massive argument that couples have had in the relationship so far could have just been turned away by a soft response, very, very soft response, really, rather than just, taking the frustration and obviously, saying harsh words and all of that. And the third one, obviously, that could actually help in terms of, that could help you from stop. I mean, that could help couples or relationships, in terms of argument. Argument is tiring, like I said, is to take a time out to cool down. Obviously, this works. So, sometimes you don't want to respond immediately to, to some things, because you feel that if you take some time out, that could really help you to kind of think of your response rather than just giving a response on the spot. And that could change a lot of things. It could actually change the mood, because you can also imagine your partner getting angry and all of that as well. In that at that heat of the moment, you don't want to give a harsh response, so you just want to cool things down. So in the heat of the moment, our brain is kind of works in a sort of way where I say is in a fight mode. You just want to fight. You just want to, you just want to give that response, because obviously some of the things that your partner might be saying might actually annoy you as well. So you just want to give immediate response, and sometimes it doesn't work that way. So you just have to work on yourself. Agree on a code of phrase that could help you, like maybe pause for 10 minutes, or let's take a break, let's digest it, let's think about it. That could change a lot of things as well in terms of argument. It could help your relationship, to kind of stop all the argument. And I think one last thing that I'll say, which it wasn't part of my point, is to be humble. When you're having a conversation, things can actually get heated at an important time, but humility actually dissolve things. Um, you know, as a couple, you need to practice that humility and wisdom to actually handle things is really, really important. A lot of marriage that survived so far is all about having that humility and wisdom, knowing pause and start, knowing when to talk and knowing when to actually keep quiet is really, really crucial. So humility, and obviously, like it helps a lot. It and wisdom, having the wisdom to deal with things, it helps your relationship a lot. And obviously, these are things I would like you to kind of take away from this. I think the first point, obviously, just to kind of recapture everything, is to identify the real issue, make the argument. Why is she, or why is she angry, or why is he angry? So you need to kind of understand what the main issue is actually. Replace attacks with curiosity, rather than just attacking each other. Be curious to understand understand the root of the problem, and obviously take a time out to cool down is really key. It's really, really important. And I mentioned additional bonus, which could tips as well, which could help, is to practice humility, ensure that you're humble in your response, in the way you do things, in the way you kind of handle things, and obviously, wisdom is profitable, absolutely profitable. And I can tell you for 100% that some of the marriages that have survived today are a lot of them are based on humility and wisdom, having the wisdom to deal with things. It's not everything that we deal with, with anger, things like that. Anger actually destroy things. So obviously, these are things obviously you can do to stop arguing in your relationship. Thank you very much, and then I'll speak to you again next week. Have a wonderful marriage.